Welcome. It's 6 minutes gone past 8 a.m. Lagos, Nigeria. Let's get talking right here on the nation's number one talk station, 99.3 Nigeria Info. My name is Kofi Bartels. We have a conversation up next, of course, following on from what we started yesterday, looking at the cybercrime law in the country, what Nigerians need to know. We were meant to have an aspect of the conversation regarding what do you call it, the IT aspect of things, you would call it that, where apart from the law, what can IT experts tell us about this situation? And the case study for this, we have the case of Ibezim, the young man who has been arrested by the Nigeria Police Force. We're talking about all of this in a jiffy. We have a guest standing by right here via Zoom. You can watch us on YouTube. Simply search for Nigeria Info FM and you get to see what we're doing live on YouTube. All right, just search for Nigeria Info FM and you get to see what we're doing live on YouTube and even join the conversation. Once again, you're welcome. To participate, you can send us a WhatsApp message. You can also call. You can reach us on Twitter, Instagram. You can call on Skype as well. You can go to Facebook. We're also streaming on Facebook. You can drop your comments there as well. But for the phone numbers, please call 0700 993 993 993. 0700 993 993 993. And our female line is also available for our ladies, female listeners who want to be a part of our conversation. If you can't get through the main lines, please call the special female line. That's 0146 57190. That's 0146 57190. So if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's do this together. And of course, let's have this conversation. All right, we're here. Yesterday we started with a discussion on the case of Chike Bezim, who is in police custody since the 10th of August 2023, from the information available to me. The police arrested the young man on following a petition by the lawyers to former Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Raji Fashola, SANCON. Raji Fashola is also a former governor of Lagos State. Quite popular. His time in Lagos State is remembered with fondness as a very successful time, one of the most successful governors in the history of this modern democratic dispensation since 1999. When you talk about Lateef Jakonde as governor of Lagos State, then maybe you can put Fashola somewhere there. As one that people always remember. He did some good things as governor. Well, Fashola went on to become minister. Of course, he did his bit as Minister of Works. But he's a key member of the All Progressives Congress, an ally of President Bola Tinubu, who is the national leader for some time before he became president of the All Progressives Congress and leading founder of the All Progressives Congress. The All Progressives Congress, of course, Bola Tinubu won the presidential election as declared by INEC, and the other parties, opposition parties, APM, PDP, AP, LP, went to court to say, you know what, you didn't win the election. We won. Okay? And it's been a controversy. Now, therefore, it's understandable that names like Fashola, people may want to look at them, but a grave allegation, a grave accusation, something very serious, that you don't make such allegations except you have any proof, popped up on social media, where some young man called Jackson O'Day put out a tweet saying that Minister Fashola was part of those who wrote the presidential election petition called Judgment. Now, of course, we don't believe in spurious allegations right here on Nigeria Info. We don't believe in unfounded allegations. We talk facts, all right? We talk facts. And so we're not here to say that guy was true. No. For now, it's an unsubstantiated claim, an allegation that is yet to be proven, okay? So as far as we're concerned, Minister Fashola did not write anything, until someone can prove it. However, the news is that a Twitter account called Reportoria put out the information to say that, this man was part of those who wrote the PEPT judgment, and the police received a petition. Rightly so. I mean, if you were in Fashola's shoes, I'm sure you may do the same thing. To receive the petition from Fashola through his lawyers, saying, this XYZ person or XYZ thing happened. The long and short of the story, as you all know, is that Chike Bezim has been arrested or was arrested on the 10th of August and is in police net for putting out that tweet. The allegations, the charge allegations are cyber stalking and cyberbullying. Now, our guest this morning is not a lawyer, but he's here to simply look at the technology aspect of things, the technological aspect of things. I'd like to introduce him. Stephen Lawal is a cybersecurity expert, and he joins us this morning on the Crossfire to look at the implications of Nigeria's cybercrime law, particularly for social media. Stephen, thank you very much for your time.
Yes, thank you for having me.
All right, fantastic. Yes. You are a cybercrime or cyber expert, a cybersecurity expert. Did you take notes when in 2015 or any time after that, Goodluck Jonathan, or even after that, this cybercrime law was implemented and used to prosecute certain persons? Is this something that you've been looking at?
It's not just from the perspective of being a cybersecurity expert. For everyone who uses the internet, for everyone who works in the cyberspace, it's something that we all need to be aware of. And yes, but first, I would say I am not a cybercrime expert. I mean,
cybersecurity, yeah.
That's one. Then the other part is that it's to the best of my knowledge, I believe we're talking about the act. If it's now something that we call it law, it's something entirely subject to the interpretation of the lawyers. I'm not a lawyer, but based on the information that I have, I think it's best as a Cybercrime Act. Cybercrime Prohibition and Prevention Act of 2015. Yes, and that's just to try to put to perspective or be detailed about the information that I have access to. Yes, and I think when we talk about that act, a lot of people believe they just focus on cyberbullying and cyber stalking. There's a lot more to that act than all of that. There's it also offers protection for individuals as well. It sort of gives you more access to things like your data privacy, also protects you from, one of the things that is common with the surge in the use of the internet space in Nigeria is that people tend to assume because they can't see their faces, because they can't easily know where they are. It's a common knowledge that people tend to want to become nefarious. And which, of course, must have led to why this must have been put into place to make sure that for us to exist or coexist harmoniously in the cyberspace, there must be rules and regulations, laws that we must follow that would ensure that people can live, harmoniously well. And one of the things that I like I said, it's quite common for people to talk about cyberbullying and cyber stalking, but you also have data protection. You also have offenses against child pornography. You should have a lot of other things, data protection. There's international cooperation. investigation and prosecution, all of those things are also all part of the things that people need to think about when they consider the cybercrime law. The network service providers, how does this affect the sort of like the service level agreement? What do we expect from the network service providers, the internet service providers, and all of that? So I would usually say that from a cybersecurity or from an aware user standpoint, or someone who uses the cyberspace, we should all make sure the same way we're familiar with all the forms of legislation and laws and acts, we all need to know about the Cyber Crime Act. Because this is, in fact, if we would say, a lot of people spend more time on the cyberspace than anywhere else. So if there's any law people need to be more aware
All
of,
right.
that need to be taught in schools,
Okay.
then it is the Cybercrime Act.
All right.
It's
So why should people, because everybody these days has basically, a smartphone, uses the internet and the cyberspace. Why should people be so aware of what the cybercrime law is? The law now, since it's been signed, what it says is it that so they don't fall in they don't flout it. Maybe there are some lines that they could easily flout. Why do you think people need to be very much aware of what the cybercrime law says?
Okay. So thank you. Now it's been signed into so as a law, which is great. So one of the common things that you would also notice is the fact that people have access to smart devices. Gone are the days when you say hackers are people with just computers, sitting in one corner wearing hoodie, and doing a lot of stuff. Now you have a lot of people use the internet, and would agree that globally there is sort of like an impression. I wouldn't say that's the actual narrative of Nigerians, of hardworking Nigerians, but there's an impression that Nigerians are sort of like heavily tilted to the wrong side of the cybercrime law globally. So to have that in place helps us to everyone to understand what are the things we can or cannot do legally while we're online. Having access using a keyboard to just put information out there feels like it's very simple thing, but it's
All right.
also very powerful. People say the pen is mightier than the sword. I say the keyboard is mightier than an atomic bomb now these
All right.
days, because people can instigate wars, people can blackmail each other. We've had instances where some other people have committed suicide because of certain things people have written, either if it's correct or it's not correct. So you have all of that in place. So,
Okay.
and that's why I think it's important for people to be aware of what the cybercrime
All right.
law actually says.
Okay, Chike, I'm sorry, Stephen. Well, you've talked about other aspects of this cybercrime law, that is not just about cyber stalking and cyberbullying. The other things like data protection and all that. But today we are using Chike Bezem's case as a case study. So I want to talk about cyber stalking and cyberbullying. Some people came out to say, this Cybercrime Act, then when it was an act, that is meant to silence voices in Nigeria, meant to silence freedom of speech and all that, blah, blah, blah. Looking at Ibezem's case, what are your thoughts on that? Now, you're not a lawyer, but you are an expert in this field of technology, so your opinion matters. What do you think about the Ibezem case? He's been arrested for cyber stalking and cyberbullying. And he's saying that yes, he owns the phone where the tweet emanated from. Some people went online to say they reached out to Twitter, and Twitter denied ever giving any government of any country access to the personal records of their users. You talked about data protection. It's a big deal all over the world. Nigeria just caught up. So people are saying, where did the government, the police get the information to be able to link that tweet to Chike when the account is owned by his brother company, called Reporteria News? Now, another school of thought says that even without the help of Twitter, that is X, or Elon Musk, that the Nigeria police or anybody can actually trace the phone number and the IP address a tweet came from. What do you say to these two schools of thought?
Okay, so issues that has to do with investigation in the cyberspace and investigation about cybercrime falls under what we call digital forensics. And in digital forensics, there are approaches that global best practices, how evidences are captured and how investigations are being carried out. Um, so I would say the very least, because it is an active investigation.
No,
So
no,
I'll be very
we're not
careful.
asking you to talk about generally speaking. Generally
So
speaking.
yeah, so
Uh-huh.
I'm going to be as I'm going to try to be as general as
Yes,
possible.
yes, yes.
Because the funny thing in cybersecurity is you you have to actually be you have to spit out the facts. So I would say when people use websites online, social media sites, people need to be careful and be sure of every information that they put there when they're signing up. People need to be, because all of these things tied together to form what's called your digital identity. They ask you for your name, you provide it. They ask you for your phone number, you provide your email address, you provide it. All of these things are interconnected. That's why it's a cyberspace. As much as it feels like a big space, it's also really connected. And it's possible for people to begin to connect the dots in digital forensics to begin to see what is the relationship between this account and the next account. What is the relationship between this email address and this phone number? Because this may have been used on multiple sites. So I would say people need to be careful of what they use because this forms part of your digital identity.
Are you saying that it is possible to trace a tweet to a phone number without the help of X or Twitter?
I will tell you how the technology works, and then you can connect the dots.
Okay.
So when you use the internet, you use data, and that data is sent through your internet service provider, and then it goes to a particular server, and the server in this case X or Facebook, and then the information is now used either posted online or whatever it is that you want to do, or
Okay.
perform a command.
I hate the fact that I'm interrupting you. We want to go for a commercial. I'll be right back, please.
Okay, no problem.
Lagos, I am pretty sure you do not know what is going on, but that is why I'm here to give you the lowdown on what is going on. And what is going on is none other than the biggest healthcare trade platform in all of West Africa coming to Lagos. And we are thrilled to announce it to you. So here's the gist. Medic West Africa is celebrating its 10th anniversary this year, and it is returning to showcase the newest technological advancements and solutions in the healthcare sector. This event is the largest gathering of healthcare trade professionals anywhere in the continent, providing an exceptional networking hub for all healthcare stakeholders across the entire value chain. So the 2023 Medic West Africa exhibition and conference will be holding live in Lagos at the Landmark Center, Victoria Island from the 26th to the 28th of September 2023. Join experts for 3 days as they showcase the latest technological advancements in healthcare with over 150 companies exhibiting from 32 countries around the world. This event is a must attend for anyone with anything to do with the healthcare sector. Not only will you have the opportunity to see the latest technology, you also get to network in interactive sessions and conversations around healthcare within West Africa. These interactive sessions will include the Healthcare Leadership Conference, a Quality Management Conference, a Clinical Management Conference, alongside a CPD Certified Immunology Laboratory and Quality Management Conference, as well as a Clinical Microbiology Conference. The best part about all this is that it is actually free, absolutely free. Like, you are not going to pay a penny, a kobo, that is. This year would also mark the official launch of MedLab West Africa. That's right, Medic West Africa will be launching MedLab West Africa, which will connect the entire West African space when it comes to healthcare and medical laboratories. Creating an unparalleled opportunity for networking and knowledge sharing. It's unprecedented. students unable to study after sunset. This is the harsh reality of many, many Nigerians. In fact, the most Nigerians suffer from the consequences of this lack of access to electricity. But you see, there is hope in the horizon because the Nigeria Energy 2023 exhibition and conference is coming to the rescue. Imagine a gathering of industry leaders, innovators, policymakers, all united by the common goal that is to accelerate energy access in West Africa. Endorsed by the Federal Ministry of Power, the Nigeria Energy Exhibition and Conference is coming back to celebrate its 10th anniversary edition from the 19th to the 21st of September 2023 at the Landmark Event Center, Lagos. Head over to www.nigeria-energy.com and register for free in less than a minute. Together, we can power a brighter future for Nigeria.
We go hard and in depth.
The real discourse and commentaries right here
on Nigeria Info.
This is a clear situation of Konima and die, Konima and bury.
But what kind of marriage is that?
You are calling it marriage. In that side, now walk.
Isn't there a tradition like when you're pissed, you can walk away? You don't have that tradition?
radio at its finest.
It's 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Your number one station for talk.
All right, welcome back. Home stretch of the morning crossfire. My name is Kofi Bartels. Stay with me, Stephen Lawal, cybersecurity expert. We're discussing this morning implications of Nigeria's cybercrime law for social media users, using the case of Baba. Only small thing. Oh. Well, former Governor Fashola of Lagos State. Yes, indeed. And of course, Chike Bezim, man, that is still under investigation. But last time I checked, it's not been taken before any court yet. But if you listen to us, we give the intro. We don't have too much time to go into that. So I'll go back to my guest, Stephen Lawal, cybersecurity expert, for more on this discussion. Stephen, before we went to the break, you were talking about how possible it is to trace a tweet to a phone number. So I want you to give me a yes or no answer if you don't mind. You're saying a tweet can be traced to a phone number without the assistance or the cooperation of X as a company giving out that information. Is that what you're saying?
It's not a yes or no question. I would say it's not impossible.
Okay.
And if you look at the cybercrime, the last two sections says that the Act mandates that service providers shall keep all traffic data and subscriber information, having due regard to the individual's constitutional right to privacy, and shall take appropriate measures to safeguard it. So if that crime enables service providers to keep all traffic data, you begin to have an idea of what's possible.
Okay.
Then the number 10 says allows for the interception of electronic communication by way of court order by a judge, where there are reasonable grounds to suspect that the content of an electronic communication is reasonably required for the purpose of criminal investigation proceedings. Like I said, I'm not a lawyer, but if you read those two sections, you begin to have an idea of what is possible and what's allowable. When
you say service providers, what are these service providers that are being mentioned in that
internet
law?
service providers, the ones that provide you access to the internet.
So the networks.
Networks. Yes.
Okay.
Those are your service providers.
So you're saying they store our information of what we put on social media, sort of. The
law allows them to keep all traffic data. So if they can keep all traffic data, then during an investigation, it should be possible to look at that. And the law also allows interception of electronic communication as well, if there is reasonable grounds to the subject that the content of an electronic communication is reasonably required for purpose of an investigation.
All right.
So also other parts that we need to consider. Yeah.
Okay. Very quickly, do we have? Are you concerned? Is there anything ethically wrong with regards to privacy? Because you talked about data privacy as well. Privacy of data here. I know sometimes when Google has been asked to give information to the Chinese government, the American government, they said no, citing their users' privacy and all that. For these network providers, is there anything wrong, ethically wrong, as far as privacy of data is concerned?
Well, this law already mandates that they should study data, and if there is a court order, they would have to grant access to it. And this happens globally as well. There's also other things that we need to consider. The first and second part, also maybe the third one as well. People have not been reading, so but if you read it, you will see that there's a very steep penalty. There's one number 2 actually talks about death penalty. So
Death penalty.
yes, the Nigerian Cybercrime Act prescribes the death penalty for an offense committed against a system or network that has been designated critical national infrastructure. Like I know lawyers do, they say things that has to do with statutory interpretation, different forms of interpretation. So it's important that we are aware of how steep some of these laws are, and we want to be careful about it. When we are aware of them, then we're more cautious. So I was talking about technical aspects of how this can also be done. So because a lot of the information that we use are tied together, all of this forms part of what is called your digital identity, the number you have registered with, the email address, and all of that. So even when tweets emanate from certain accounts, what we need to begin to realize in the cyberspace is that it's possible to begin to argue that that in itself is your digital identity, that is you speaking, and if that is allowed in the court of law, that depends on the law, not me. But I'm just saying that users of the internet needs to begin to look at all those possible risks in terms of when they try to use social media or the digital space, because whilst this law is still maturing and a lot, is going on, there will be instances where it may have been interpreted in a way that it may or may not favor some people. And of course, with everything we do, there is a form of risk. People should consider the risk involved in whatever it is that they want to do before they go about doing it. Like one of those laws that says that there is death penalty. So if you want to do something and there is a possible risk of death penalty, then I think people want to be extra careful in terms of how they go about doing it, if they should do it at all. It's now the question of what people need to look at. I know a lot of people argue and they talk about freedom of speech and all of that, but when it comes to technology, we use a lot of devices. I say this, I can't say this enough.
We have just 30 seconds to go, so just wrap up.
People use a lot of devices and they are not trying to understand how these things work. I think that if 70% of one's daily life, living or livelihood is based on devices, then you might as well understand the laws and the technology behind it so that you can protect yourself.
All right. And I think key takeaway here is that the networks, the internet service providers in Nigeria, mandated by the cybercrime law to store your information, your data, everything about what you're putting up. They have to store it. Steven Lawal, cybersecurity expert, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right. And that's me signing off right here on the Morning Crossfire. My name is Kofi Bartels. I'll be back tomorrow, same time, 5 a.m. Keep listening. The news at 9. Headline news is up next.
.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info.